We want to kill neobanks. That's a bold statement for any company. And it doesn't even come from a bank. That's the message of Juho Putkonen, who's responsible for embedded banking at Procounter. Procounter is a Finnish company that offers digital accounting services and financial management tools. The company targets accounting companies and business owners with different services. According to some sources, 13.5% of the Finnish GDP is invoiced through Procounter services. In this episode, I speak with Juho about Procounter's journey in financial services, how one lucky conversation kicked off their embedded banking product, and how they want to revamp their invoicing financing product. My name is Lars Markull, and this is the Embedded Finance Review podcast. Every 2 weeks, I'm interviewing the builders and shapers of embedded finance. And a quick reminder from my side. At Embedded Finance Review, I publish weekly newsletters, bi-weekly podcasts, and host in-person and virtual industry events. You can find all of these activities on our website, embeddedfinancereview.com. In addition, we also work with non-financial brands, infrastructure providers, and banks in understanding, designing, and launching the embedded finance products. If you are interested in working with us, visit our website and please reach out. And now, let's dive in. Hi, Juho. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today, and in what part of the world are you located right now?
Thank you. It's really nice to be here. I'm located in the oldest city in Finland called Turku. It's the nearest city of the ocean by Sweden, other side of the ocean. So I have been living here in Turku for 20 years, so it starts to feel like home.
That's great. And the pre-chat, we already ticked off all the required chats about the cottages in Finland that most of the people own, spoke a bit about NHL. So now we can talk a bit more, or a lot more maybe, on embedded finance, embedded banking. And first of all, thanks for taking the time. We connected a couple of weeks ago at the Nordic FinTech Summit, where I think you put in the networking app, you're looking to connect with people who are into the topic of embedded banking. And when I read that one, I felt, okay, that's probably a person I should speak with. And maybe to kick things off, maybe you can tell us a little bit the company you're currently working with. We spoke about that already. There are 3 names that are, at least while doing my research, like floating around. There's Procounter, Counter, and also Finago. So like 3 brands or company names. So I'm quite curious to hear from you a little bit, like what is the focus of each, let's say, brand or company, and how that were put together.
Yeah, I have to say that it's complicated, and it's going to be even more complicated, but I try to explain as good as I can, because the company's name is currently Procounter Finago. So it's public company, not listed one, but the company's name is going to change in upcoming weeks. So the former Procounter Finago divided last summer, and the Procounter part, which was the accounting office businesses, they were sold out of this company that I'm working currently in. And the name Procounter went with that company. So our name and brand is going to completely change in upcoming summer. And I have no idea to which company I'm returning after my holiday, which starts tomorrow. So let's see. But currently, the company is called Procounter Finago, and we are a software company. We are building financial management software in Finland to 100,000 customers. So 100,000 companies in Finland are doing their accounting and invoicing with our software. And we are currently a Nordic company. So in the same family, we have 24/7 Office software, which is Norwegian-based software. And they have, I think, around 30,000 companies in Norwegian market and some in Swedish market. But I would say that we are serving around 150, 160,000 companies in Nordic level with our financial management softwares. And in Finnish market, we have different softwares. The Procounter, which you mentioned, is the biggest one. Like around 100,000 companies are doing their accounting and with that software. And in the Procounter Finago, we have also some smaller and even different type of businesses included in our business family. We have a company called e-Tasku, which is receipt handling like software, mobile app. Then we have Apix, which is like invoicing platform. They are redirecting invoices to different channels. And then we have Ecom, which is like ERP for small size of construction businesses. And then we have Isolta, which is like invoicing software for really small companies. But I think the biggest one of these softwares is the Procounter. And I think in these discussions, what we are going through today, the world, mostly through Procounter eyes, I would say. Of course, embedded banking, embedded finance is like universal thing, and we can apply the same principles to all softwares. It doesn't matter which software are, but I think that's the vision I will see through my eyes, like mostly. And I'm not 100% sure if it's correct, but I have heard the number that 13.5% of Finnish GDP is invoiced through Procounter. So it's quite a big number, at least in Finnish market. It's the biggest software in this business area. And it's mostly, of course, small and medium-sized companies that we are serving.
Interesting. So if I understood correctly, also what you mentioned with the part of the company that was recently sold, there was also features, functionalities that were around like services, where you had where the company has maybe like bookkeepers and similar kind of stuff going after certain clients. And what remains now, or like what the core focus of your focus is, a software part basically, which people can use for managing their finance. And as you mentioned, it's like small and medium-sized finances, probably a lot of features. You touched on a few already: invoicing, bookkeeping, closing of the month, of the year, and all these things around there.
Yeah, I think we have like the two focus customer segments. That what we have are accountants and accounting offices and the end customer users. So our software like have features for both. You can use it like as an invoicing platform and to handle your like customer base and your inventory and stuff like that. But then there is the side for accountants that they can do the accounting with our software. So I think most of our sales, for example, comes through accounting offices. So we want to serve the accounting offices the best way we can. So they would like select our software, and then they would recommend the software to their like companies who are coming towards them for their accounting services.
I guess makes the acquisition of the business is also a little bit easier going over these multiplicators. I guess that, I mean, you said it's very complex and not so easy to understand, but I think it sets the scene a little bit about what the company does, what the service, what the features the company offers. Let's maybe now focus a little bit on the financial services you offer. I mean, you mentioned already, we spoke about your embedded banking focus. So quite keen to hear embedded banking from a bookkeeping invoicing platform. I guess many think immediately about a bank account card. Is that exactly the offer that you are offering? Please explain a bit about this.
Yeah. When I joined the company, like it's almost 3 years ago, I have said many times internally that my goal here is to make those online banks and mobile banks useless for small and medium-sized companies. Because yes, I want to take the services that they are offering through their platforms to small and medium-sized companies to our Procounter and other softwares. Because I think the main reason is that I don't see the reason that why the owner of small company, why would they ever need to go to their online bank if they have the same features like in their invoicing system? Because I think it's maybe impossible to have those invoicing and accounting features in your mobile bank, but it's quite easy, even with the better user experience, to have those banking services that you use like on daily basis in your financial management system. Because that's the path that what we are going on now or right now. Of course, we are still in the quite beginning of the path. We have live embedded finance and embedded banking services. Currently, we have a bank account which is attached to our system. And of course, you cannot even use the financial management software, at least in Finland, without like business bank account. You need to have a business bank account attached to our software. So the business bank account is one thing that we figured out that in the market, there was like huge pain point in Finnish market.
Okay. It was hard for companies to open up a business account.
Yeah, the opening up the business account, it's quite like there is many steps and manual works and maybe even like face-to-face meetings and documents and stuff like that. And I would say that it's impossible to open business bank account if you don't have any connection to that bank, like under 3 weeks in Finland, I would say. Maybe if you have your own personal account there, it could go faster. But even that's not enough, because when we are accounting system and we are quite in digital world in Finland, in accounting wise, we need to be able, or the companies need to be able to transfer the banking data from their bank account to the accounting software, like on daily basis, as real time as possible. And to open up that connection, it will take next several weeks towards the big banks. And then you are again waiting, and accountants cannot do their job because they don't get the banking data. But the biggest pain point, I think, of course, the opening hassle and onboarding to the like big banks, there is quite a mess currently. And I'm not that sure that's going to, at least in near future, be any easier because of many reasons, regulations and the size of those companies and stuff like that. Their focus is somewhere else.
It's maybe not the easiest or not the most attractive target clientele for banks to go after. But how did you currently, you mentioned right now it's a pure bank account product that you're offering. So obviously in the bookkeeping software, my assumption would be this is basically the account. When I send out an invoice, that's being on my invoice, is this account is being mentioned there. Then when my clients pay me, it's obviously going to that bank account and then obviously immediately connected to the bookkeeping activities. And when I close at the end of the month or so, my books or at the end of the year, it's much easier. But I'm quite keen to understand, like, when now somebody signs up for the software, like as a completely new customer, is this like this bank account something which is directly embedded into the customer journey when they start engaging with you? Like, I'm quite keen to understand, like, how well is this bank account product embedded maybe today or in the future?
I think we could do even better job there, that we could offer even with the better understanding. But of course, banking business is quite traditional business in the Finnish market, and we are operating with the challenger bank called Alisa Bank. And it's not that known if you compare it to Nordea or OP, which are the biggest ones and have like the 90% market share together. So we could do even better job there. But as from like last autumn when we launched this business, we know that almost 10% of our new incoming customers are selecting our bank account. And of course, that's quite high number. Like in 7 months ago, we didn't have the service at the Finnish market at all. So if we would get like 10% like share of customers, that's huge number for new account and challenger bank in that sort of time. So we have done many things right there, but of course, we could even better to offer the account onboarding. But I think when you are onboarding to like financial management software, you have, I don't know how many questions or decisions you need to make. So we need to be really careful that what kind of services we offer and what questions need to be answered and in what order to get the customers like the best user experience of our software. I think that's the bigger issue here, that if we would like just offer the account all different places on the onboarding process, we could do it even more. But I think that's the balance we need to keep there.
Of course. And maybe if you like take us back in time to the decision or to the point where you made the decision to build this bank account. You described already the landscape in Finland, and obviously you might have realized that your customers are struggling to open a bank account, and probably at one point you realized, okay, if it's so hard for them to open up as traditional banks, maybe we should be the party to open a bank account. But especially the industry you're in embedded finance sometimes can be a really far-fetched idea, but I guess in bookkeeping and accounting, banking products are really crucial because the connectivity is so important. Can you maybe explain a little bit, like, the company has previously done similar kind of efforts of offering bank account? Was that the first time? Why did it happen now and not earlier or maybe later? What do you think was a deciding factor to launch this product now?
I think it was just the right people at the right place in the right time in the market, I would say. Many people who have been working in this company have been looking out for banking services, that what we could do and how we should do it. But I think that the pain points were there, and the opening account is not even the hardest one. The pricing is the biggest pain point there, and the average company is paying to have the account and transfer the data around 80 euros per month to the big banks. We are offering the same service with fixed price under 10 euros per month. So we have been saving like millions of euros of our customers' money when they are using this, because they are not paying that. And it's their own data they are transferring. And it's like, I don't know that how it's possible to even keep up that high pricing in that kind of area of business. But I think the banks, they have like big power. But I think it was just right time, because my background was, I have been working in the same bank, Alisa Bank, before I joined Procounter. And I knew that they are moving towards like this banking as a service, embedded finance services in their business banking side. I was working with the consumer side payments and credit cards and stuff like that there. But I knew that they were going into this direction. And the idea that what we put together was made with Heikkilä from Alisa Bank. We figured out that if this could be beneficial for us and for them for acquiring like new customers in, and with the fixed pricing there, we would be able to do like huge business bottoms with the model we would operate and the pricing, what we could do. We would both be in beneficial state there because of the acquiring new customers. So I think everybody was like really fast on board, at least in our company and in Alisa Bank, with this new service, because there were like real pain points that we fixed with that service. And of course, you need the bank account to operate with the service. So, and even the accounting offices, which are a key part of this picture, that they were on board, because the current situation where it's really expensive to transfer the data from bank account to financial management software, it leads that kind of situations that companies might sync the data from the bank account to financial management software only once a month. And then the accountants cannot like do their accounting with their own like routines and schedules. They need to always wait. Yeah. And the only reason is because of the high pricing. And now when they can offer this, they have more flexible ways to do their job, and their customers gets better service, and their account financial management software is on daily basis in real-time numbers. So it's beneficial for them and accounting offices and us and the bank. I think everybody, of course, not the big banks who are losing customers, but everybody else is basically winning in this picture.
Maybe you can even, I mean, maybe not for all the banks, but maybe you can also argue for some of them. They probably don't really want this business anyway. I mean, maybe they want it, but at least they didn't try hard enough as well to serve the customers. So maybe they shouldn't be felt like they stepped on the toes.
Yeah, I met all the banks when we were start to build up this service, because I basically gave all the banks like possibility to would they want to be part of this. But as I said, that at least the most of the traditional big banks, they are making millions of the data transfer. So it's not in their interest to change the current like setup, how it's done.
Interesting. I didn't even know that you can charge that much for the data transfer. But that's obviously then an interesting vehicle. And obviously, I mean, especially in the Finnish fintech ecosystem, maybe even Nordics and around, Alisa Bank is by now like a quite known player. And obviously their focus, as you described now, stronger on banking as a service and embedded finance is quite known. Nevertheless, there are also other banking as a service providers, maybe outside of Finland, who probably would have also been eager to work with you to enable your company to offer banking products. Was it an important factor, you think, for you, for your team to work with a, let's say, local provider, a Finnish provider, or maybe even a provider with a brand name that at least some of your customers know?
I would say that in the bank account business, yes, because as a Finnish company, I think 90% of the small-sized companies want to have like IBAN would start with FI. If we would have something else, I think it could like harm our sales, even though the service would be the exact same.
Yeah, I know what you mean. In Germany, it's pretty much the same, I guess. It's not really IBAN discrimination, because it's not really like anybody is discriminating you, but you or the account owner don't feel comfortable, or maybe you feel like you get discriminated potentially when you have a non-local. Even though it's quite sad and bad that this is the case, but in a way, that's how it is, right?
Yeah. But if and when we are expanding our like embedded like finance setup, for example, credit cards, I would say that it doesn't matter that if the credit card company or the issuer of the card is...
Okay. It's not so much in the picture for the...
No, yeah. I think they have even better reputation like in small and medium-sized companies, because they know that the user experience for the end customer with some like Swedish or German like credit cards are even better than the traditional business cards offered by like big banks in Finland. So I think in that area that might even like support the case to have like some other than a Finnish player there.
Okay. And I mean, you mentioned now you launched, I think, the banking product like roughly like 9 months ago. So can you tell us a little bit, what stage do you think are you in right now? Is it still like optimizing the bank product, the bank account product, like embedding it maybe more and better, maybe to increase adoption rate? Are you thinking already about other financial products? You mentioned credit cards already. Is that something which is already on your radar, or what's your current focus?
Yeah, I think, of course, when you launch a service, development is always ongoing. We need to be better in many areas. And then that's the case even with the Procounter account that what we have launched. I think we knew that, for example, in Finnish market, we don't support, or Alisa Bank didn't have the support for debit card at that point when we launched. And we knew that's something that we need to fix, because like Finnish companies and private persons, they want to pay with the debit and credit card. They are not operating only with credit card. So that's something that we are now bringing to the account after the summer. Summer will be like corporate card and business card that you can use it. And it's not going to stop there. There are many features and stuff that we have identified, for example, foreign exchange payments and stuff like that. So we can always have a new, little bit bigger potential customer segment when we import these new features to the account. So I think that's will be ongoing development for years from now. But I think when we have this basic setup ongoing at the card, then we can like serve 80% of the potential customer mass that what we are aiming towards. So then we are like in quite good position, but the card is crucial there and we need it as soon as possible.
So you said like on terms of just on the account, right? Like, I mean, especially people maybe not from the industry, they might have the experience in their own areas, but like you look at such a product, oh, you have accounts now, so you're done with accounts. Now you can move to the next one. That's also like, I mean, like, embedding is of course one important feature here, or one important element to make it from a product, from a customer experience perspective, like even more suitable, more presentable, more logical for customers to use. But then you mentioned only like international transfers, foreign exchange. That's basically, of course, where you have other features under the hood that you might not want to, or you didn't decide to launch them from day one because they were not so relevant for the MVP, but obviously have to roll it out maybe before you tackle completely different products like cards. But I guess everybody agrees, like once you have like the core setup for accounts and the core setup for the cards, that's basically when you are of a high relevance for a lot of businesses out there, especially those who maybe don't have such like complex setups where it's more like straightforward. And if they're even saving money with the data transfer, it's not even for like new companies relevant. It might even be relevant for
it might be like huge companies with bigger the transaction volume, or more you have sales invoices and purchase invoices, more you pay from the data transfer to the bank. So
it's like a gold mine, huh?
Yes, because even with the biggest companies, they could like use this as their like main transaction account and have it here with 990, and they might pay like tens of thousands of like per month from those transactions currently. And then they would have like some services from traditional banks that they need to have, but they focus their transactions to this account and save huge amounts of money. But I would say that sooner or later, this is going to change all through the markets. It's not future way to operate and do business to charge that amounts of data transfer. Like you are transferring your own data. It's not up to date. I think next autumn, like in October, all the banking transactions, like B2B transactions, will be in real time. And it's not like future proof that accounting data from the bank account is transferred once a month. If all payments are settled on real time. So I think the goal is for us even is that we will be in transaction level real time accounting, that the accounting data and the banking data would be the same data. That's the goal in long run, but I think we are quite far from that point.
Yeah, I guess this is always like explained in a way with historical setup and entry barriers, and always banking had to be something different. It had to be by a bank, and it's always like this, I guess, with new regulation, but also new technology, most importantly, and players adopting new mindset. It's kind of like merging a lot more. And if you take a fresh view on it, there's no reason this is separate, right? There's like literally like no benefit of having it separate. It's probably more like historical development. It is being set up like this.
Yeah, not even the first service that what we launched. I think it was the second like embedded finance or banking service that what we currently have. We have had, I think, best and the most biggest opportunity for companies like us are in short-term financing, because the way those invoicing systems work, you are doing your invoice, you are handling your cash flows. So the best possible services that what companies like us can offer are short-term financing. And we have already a few years in invoice financing service there that you could like inside the system select the customers that what would like to have and operate it that way that when you are invoicing those customers, you will get the money right away. And the bank will get the payment when the end customer pays the bill. So we have had this many years, but I think we have learned quite much. And that's the biggest challenge internally, I would say, that what we have is and will have like in near future is to change that the user interface needs to be changed also. It doesn't, for example, this invoice finance service that what we have, everything is automated. It's super easy. When you have made the contract and you have the settings in the right place, it works. You don't need to do anything. And the accounting related to the invoice financing is automated, which is a huge advance because it's quite work heavy to do accounting when you are using invoice financing, but you cannot see the service in our system. So the selling is the problem. And that's something that we have learned now, that when you are speaking and trying to make successful embedded financing services, I think the user experience and the sales process needs to be part of the embedded solution. It's not enough that you have like real good like processes and operations. That the sales and marketing process needs to be embedded also. And that's what we are now moving forward. And that is going to like be really interesting change, because currently financial management software, it's not banking software at all, basically. And now we are trying to bring those banking services on the user interface of our software. And that's going to be interesting, that what is going to be the like how our accounting offices are going to react to that and how are the end users going to react to that. But that's the only way to do these embedded finance services, because we know, for example, from the invoice financing that even though it's the easiest and the best invoicing solution our customers can use, only like 1% of the customers are using it. And we know that over 10% of our customer base is using some kind of invoice financing, and they don't even know of the service. So we are now, for example, bringing that service to next level. So it would be visible always when you are like creating invoices and looking your cash flow. And I think that's the next step.
In a way, you can again say like this is maybe you've done the hard part already, like building the product under, maybe that's but one of the hard part, like building the product under the hood and make that work and have customers who are using it very happy. And now, which is like quite common, I think, in embedded finance journey, now it's about like embedding it really well. And embedding means, of course, like customer experience and putting it at the right place and making it easy to use. But of course, also, as you said, like promoting it, describing it, marketing it. That's also, in a way, really crucial. And that also brings me to one question, which I want to like learn a little bit more about. How does this, when we say like all these embedded finance, financial services inside your company, you, of course, are obviously mainly highly involved in this. Can you explain a little bit like what is the exact setup? Is there like a specific team inside the company who focuses on financial services? How big is the team? How is the collaboration working with the rest of the software business?
Yeah, I hope we could have like a real own unit with the banking services in future. And when we are taking these next services to the market, I hope that we are gaining that kind of like share of the volumes and revenue, so we could like be there. But currently the setup in our company is that we are working in the unit called ecosystems. And the ecosystem unit is like the group of people that are trying to figure out services and partners that we need to attach to our system that we could serve our customers better. Those are not the core features, but those are like the features that our customers need. For example, the bank account and or invoice financing or debt collection or reporting or whatever. We have around like 150 partners that are attached to our, and our unit is running those. And under that unit, I'm working with the banking finance services with one colleague.
That reminds me, with the setup reminds a bit of, I think it's still the same way at Shopify. Of course, like one of the role models in embedded finance, I think they also call their units where all financial services are in merchant services, basically not the core product of the software, but basically everything adjacent, which kind of supports their activity, something for them like logistics and financial services. And it sounds in a similar way. But again, you also, I guess you said you launched this product like 9 months ago. There are now plans to also grow the product, grow the importance. So I guess this will also then come with certain like team structures and new setups.
Yeah, of course, because we started like a few years ago, there was none of these financing services. When we are big enough and we have like clear roadmap for the future and we have a track record that we can show that we can make a business impact in many ways, of course, I'm quite sure that the effort that what we are putting into this will grow.
Interesting. Juho, you have now just like made, I mean, you mentioned before already, you were also on the Alisa Bank side before, so you have some fintech experience, quite a bit of fintech experience with banks and fintechs themselves. But of course, now also on the, let's say, non-financial brand, on the accounting side. Is there something you've learned in the last year or so since you were building this banking product at your company? Is there something you would like to share with somebody out there who is perhaps like being tasked at their company with building financial services, where you think like this could be some kind of helpful advice?
I would say, I think, at least for me, it's good to have as many conversations inside the banking business and fintech business and build contacts to different players in the area, because you will always learn something new and you get new ideas that what somebody else is thinking. For example, this bank account, it would never happen without the connection to one person in Alisa Bank. It was like crucial to have those conversations. So I think contact as much as you can and have conversations about the business and ideas that what you have and listen to others. I think that's the main advice that I would give to anyone, and have the courage to even contact the big players in the area, because I would say that it's a little bit even weird that I think embedded finance is the sexiest area of fintech currently, or at least one of those areas. So you never know that when the business or stuff that you are working with is turning that way. I didn't understand that 3 years ago. I didn't have any idea that this is going to be like the next big thing in fintech, and even in business banking.
Yeah. Interesting. And the thing is, I totally agree with you. It's sometimes it's these, like, let's say, lucky moments. You said initially, like, right person at the right time that it requires, but often also to get to this point, to be with the right person at the right time, it also requires sometimes to try a lot of things, a lot of discussions to see where you are, where you can lucky, right? In the way you have to be lucky for the right person, the right time, but in a way you can also force luck a little bit if you have a lot of these things ongoing. And I guess it's also a little bit like also maybe for listeners out there, because I know as well, if you're not from the fintech ecosystem, and when now you say like, just try your luck, is also sometimes when you're from the outside, everything looks like so broad and complicated and hard to navigate. Obviously also if there's a listener out there who want to do that, but they don't know where to start, I mean, feel free to contact myself and Embedded Finance Review, but of course also people like you who have in my podcast are also typically always very helpful.
Of course, you can always contact me and ask or have a comment what we are doing or ask for advice. I did LinkedIn I use on daily basis, so that's where you can find me.
So any non-financial brand out there who are thinking about something similar that Juho built in the last couple of years, then reach out to him. So thank you, Juho, for joining, for sharing all your insights. It was an interesting journey so far, what you told us. As you said, there's quite a few more things happening in the next years. So maybe in a couple of years or so, we can do another episode.
Of course, and I think that we just scratched the surface. I think we didn't even get the area that I'm most enthusiastic in here is the data and the user experience, but we can save something for the later, because I think those are the key elements that why this change is going to happen. Data and the user experience. And you need to have both in better level than they currently are to win this embedded finance challenge. And that's the key thing, but that's something that we can, of course, have another discussion later.
It sounds like a great Netflix cliffhanger for episode 2. What's to follow?
Yeah.
So thank you so much again, taking time on your last working day before your holidays to record this podcast. Enjoy your holidays, and then hopefully until next time.
Yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure to join you, and it's so nice to have a discussions around these areas. I always love it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. As you might know, I'm always looking for insightful embedded finance stories, especially from non-financial brands. Do you know a company or person I should interview? Please let me know. Until next time.